All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's October the 25th, 2016. I got to page 210 of Not Guilty, the Unlawful Prosecution of U.S. Senator Ted Stevens, and it was simply too good not to read into YouTube. It appears that in the Senator Ted Stevens case, there was an FBI agent that actually had a conscience, and he was so guilt-ridden that he had to he turned in a whistleblower form and turned in a whistleblower form about the Department of Justice Polar Pen team. His name was Chad Joy. I can't find a picture of him on the internet. They must have scrubbed the internet of any pictures of Chad Joy, but there are articles about him. It's called, just look up Chad Joy whistleblower Department of Justice, and you'll find various articles about it. I think I knew about this guy previously, but there's just so much going on that, to be honest with you, it kind of falls off the plate. But this is an incredibly important aspect, and I just want to read to you what Rob Carey writes about Chad Joy, the FBI whistleblower, and the things that he reported while he was in the FBI. It's called the Joy Complaint because his last name is Joy, so it's Chad Joy. Now keep in mind they redacted a copy, so when Rob Carey refers to the Joy Complaint, he's reading from a redacted copy. So if I could find the original copy that's not redacted, it would be much worse. But here's what Rob Carey writes about it. He says, nevertheless, this is what the prosecution said. The Polar Pen team, the Children of Satan, Botini, Brenda Morris, Nick Marsh. Nevertheless, out of an abundance of caution, a redacted copy of the Joy Complaint is being shared with the court and defense counsel. Rob Carey now writes, one thing I had learned in this case and others was that when prosecutors say that they are making a disclosure out of an abundance of caution, chances are good that the disclosure is going to be a bombshell. And that's exactly what this was. I skipped past the government's downplaying and got to the Joy Complaint itself, which had been filed by Chad Joy, an FBI agent. Joy wrote, as a cold case agent on Polar Pen for the past 5 years, I have witnessed or learned of serious violations of policy rules and procedures, as well as possible criminal violations. My, you got a person inside the FBI. Not only does Nick Marsh commit suicide, I'm about to read to you a Joy Complaint from Chad Joy, who was inside the FBI. He couldn't stomach it anymore, and he wrote a complaint, and guess what? The few articles that I found out about Chad Joy, they ran him off, and they wouldn't let him be employed anymore by the FBI. And these people are still working there today. Joy goes on to write, Rob Carey writes, Chad Joy writes, as a co-case agent of the Polar Pen for the past 5 years, I have witnessed or learned of serious violations of policy, rules, and procedures, as well as criminal violations. Now, he's talking about Brenda Morris, Botini, Nick Marsh, Stephen Scrocky, Yvonne Lamoureux, and Karen Loeffler right there, I guarantee you. He was talking about possible criminal violations by the prosecution team. This is Rob Carey now. Not the citizens they were investigating. Was this a joke? I love it! I love it! How could the government team say that the integrity of the trial was not affected? Were they going to call their own agent a liar? The complaint was hard to read because the government redaction team had been hard at work. More than half of the document was redacted so that we could not read it. But even though more than half of the document was redacted, it contained some doozies. First, Joy believed the members of his prosecution team had intentionally redacted Brady and Jinx material that defense counsel was entitled to receive. Whoa! So much for good faith argument. So much for good faith mistakes. He's saying they intentionally did it. He's saying that Botini, Scrocky, Yvonne Lamoureux, and Karen Loeffler intentionally withheld evidence. This guy worked for the FBI. What else do you need? Let me read that paragraph again. First, Joy believed that members of the prosecution team had intentionally redacted Brady Jinx material that defense counsel was entitled to receive. Rob Carey then writes, so much for good faith mistakes. Second, Chad Joy, who had a conscience in the FBI, said, Joy said that prosecutor Nick Marsh who went on to commit suicide, by the way, inappropriately created a scheme to relocate Rocky Williams, who was also subpoenaed by the defense. According to Joy, after the final preparatory session with Williams, prosecutors decided Williams was not a witness for the prosecutors. Williams was not a witness the prosecutors wanted to use. It wasn't done for Rocky's health after all. What that is an account of is FBI witness manipulation, and they fly somebody down to D.C. to testify against Senator Ted Stevens. They find out that everything he says is in the benefit of Ted Stevens, and before the defense counsel that's trying to represent Ted Stevens gets a hold of Rocky Williams, the prosecution sends him back on an airplane and said, oh, he got sick. Who knows what else they did. I tell you, these people are evil, evil, evil. I can't wait. Vengeance, vengeance, vengeance. I can't wait for these bastards to get what's coming. And I'm going to continue to read. Third, Joy said the prosecutor Marsh, who committed suicide, by the way, had argued that a 302 written by Special Agent Pluta should not be turned over, even though it contained exculpatory information under Brady, and had to be turned over under Jinx, since Pluta was going to be a witness. According to Joy, Marsh was absolutely against turning it over. This confirmed my belief as to why we had gotten 302s during Bill Allen's testimony. My. Let's read that again. Third, Joy said that prosecutor Marsh, who incidentally committed suicide, slit his wrist, and then hung himself, had argued that a 302 written by Special Agent Pluta should not be turned over, even though it contained exculpatory, which means it proves that Senator Ted Stevens was innocent, information under Brady, and had to be turned over under Jinx, since Pluta was going to be a witness. According to Joy, Marsh was absolutely against turning it over. This confirmed my belief as to why we had gotten 302s during Bill Allen's testimony. Fourth, Joy reported that Kepner had inappropriate relationships with the media, suggesting that she had inappropriately leaked confidential information to the media. The irony that the government was trying to keep the allegations against it from being made public was not lost on me. Oh, how about that? Mary Beth Kepner leaking stuff to the media so they can slander and demonize Ted's name. You think they did the same thing with Schaeffer Cox? You think they didn't leak information to the media so they could demonize Schaeffer Cox? Oh, Mary Beth Kepner, there's a special place in hell for you, Mary Beth Kepner. Let me continue to read. Fifth, Joy complained that Special Agent Kepner had inappropriate dealings with Bill Allen. You know what? There's also suggestions that Mary Beth Kepner had a sexual tryst with Bill Fulton. Man, what tangled webs we weave in this wonderful world as we send innocent men to prison. She met with him alone in her hotel room. My, we got FBI agents meeting with alleged pedophiles so they can screw each other in a hotel room. Let's just keep reading. She met with him in her hotel room, and she wore a skirt as a surprise present for Allen. During his testimony, he pointed out that she does not usually wear skirts. Joy said that he knew that Kepner repeatedly shared confidential information with Allen, and that should not have been shared, and stated his belief that she may have communicated with Allen about the underage sex investigation of him. Wow, we got the FBI covering up for alleged a pedophile, Bill Allen, multi-millionaire, leader of a Vico oil industry, and yet they're covering up for the alleged pedophile that Schaeffer Cox was exposing, and the FBI is going after Senator Ted Stevens to take down that 60th vote. So when Obama rides on into office, he has 60 Democratic votes to pass Obamacare. Isn't it all working out well? You guys are great. You're just evil as hell, and I can't wait for justice to come on you sorry bastards. Let's continue to read. We got FBI Mary Beth Kepner wearing skirts and having a fling with alleged pedophile Bill Allen, saying, "Hey, Bill, when you..." Allegedly. screwed Bambi Terry, and she was 15 years old. You gotta be careful, because the FBI could come after you. But if you'll just turn on Senator Ted Stevens and rat out your friend, you'll get to keep your multi-million-dollar company, and you can protect your son. I think his name was Mark Allen, who owns the Kentucky Derby winner. Wow, let's have a lot of corruption in the good old United States. And Karen Loeffler's leading up the whole thing, and she just took my core links away from Schaeffer. Yeah, let's silence Schaeffer. Let's put Schaeffer on a 4-point shackle. Let's torture Schaeffer. Bill Allen is allegedly screwing little girls, and let's torture Schaeffer. Let's put Schaeffer on a concrete bed for days. Let's sleep deprive him. Let's torture his butt. Let's take away all his communication. Schaeffer can't see his family. He was telling everybody about the pedophile. Oh my goodness. Let's stick it to Schaeffer. Let's just torture Schaeffer. Let's crucify Schaeffer. But let's cover up for the allegedly pedophile Bill Allen. It's wonderful. Our Department of Justice and the Office of Public Integrity has no integrity. We're going to come after anybody that exposes us. And guess what we're going to do to Chad Joy? Chad Joy, who worked for the FBI, because he said all this bad stuff about us, we're going to run him out of the FBI. Woo! Yeah! Hey, Karen! Hey, Scrocky! Hey, Yvonne Lambro! Hey, Botaney! Come on, bring it on! You sorry bastards! What you've done to Schaeffer is evil as hell, and I'm gonna tell you, the Lord God Almighty knows what you did, and there's special spots in hell waiting for every one of you.